of the organization.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 25th annual organizational meeting. I call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Start with the land acknowledgement. Blackfalds Town Council acknowledges that we are on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional meeting ground, gathering place, and traveling route to the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge all the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. We'll start with the adoption of the agenda for this evening, October 25th. Any changes, administration?
Nothing, Your Worship.
Council? Other than the changes noted for the 7.1 appointment of deputy mayor that you sent out earlier, it doesn't change the agenda itself. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Deputy Mayor Bob?
So moved.
All in favor? It's unanimous. Item 4.1, the official oath of office, Commissioner of Oaths and Acts and Regulations associated to that.
Thank you, Your Worship. So as council is familiar, we've put together a suite of items of information to help guide council, and as you're aware, every year at this time we go through the organizational meeting. And so we're pleased to provide that. The item 4.1 is Commissioner of Oaths Act and Regulations. So we provided a brief report for council. And in your agenda package, there's two attachments: the Province of Alberta's Notaries and Commissioners Act from 2016, as well as the Province of Alberta Notaries and Commissions Act, Commissioners for Post Regulation. There's no motion needed for this, Your Worship, just information only.
Thank you. Move on to the general duties and guidelines of conduct, 5.1, Council Procedure Bylaw 1265.22. So
the council procedure bylaw provides a formal procedure to ensure that council meetings and committee meetings are effective through the establishment of conduct. Council procedure bylaw 1265.22 Part 5 sets out the requirements for the organizational meeting as well as rules of procedure for governing the processes as it relates to council and committee meetings. This bylaw also serves to regulate the conduct of councillors and members of committees established by council. Town council utilizes the annual organizational meeting to review the requirements and expectations of their appointment as required through the Municipal Government Act, as well as supplementary references. Bylaw 1265.22, being a procedural bylaw, provides very important information to assist council members in attendance of their duties. The bylaw is attached as a reference and serves as a reminder to guide and assist council in their service to the community. Administration will have the procedural bylaw as a topic of discussion for review at the upcoming council retreat in November, and it is expected that the bylaw will be brought before council for updates prior to year end if required.
thank you.
And the procedural bylaw is attached, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? If there are any, I'll just go through these and give a moment at the end of each item. 5.2, Code of Conduct and Ethics for Elected Officials Bylaw 1272.22.
Thank you. On October 26, 2017, Bill 20 of the Municipal Government Act required that municipal councils, by bylaw, establish a code of conduct governing the conduct of councillors that applies to all councillors equally, and that its requirement was to be met by July 23rd of 2018. The Code of Conduct Bylaw 1226.18 that was formally adopted at that time. This bylaw ensures that there was a mandatory obligation of adherence and that the municipality met all the minimum standards established by the Code of Conduct for Elected Officials Regulation. It is a requirement that this bylaw be reviewed and updated every 4 years, and it was earlier this year that the new Code of Conduct and Ethics for Elected Officials Bylaw 1272.22 was formally adopted by Council on June 14th, therefore rescinding the previous bylaw 1226.18. The updated Council Code of Conduct Bylaw and Code of Conduct and Ethics Bylaw was brought about through determined changes needed with Bylaw 1226.18, as well as review and recommended changes resulting from a Code of Conduct investigation undertaken by a consultant earlier this year. Third and final reading of bylaw 1272.22 took place on June 14th of this year. And Your Worship Council, that bylaw is attached to this report as reference as well.
Thank you. 5.3, Municipal Affairs, Municipal Councilors Guideline for Conflict of Interest.
This item, this guideline is attached to every organizational meeting for council's information. As well, Your Worship and Council at 5.4, which is a pecuniary interest for municipal councillors, and also item 5.5, which is Alberta Municipal Affairs, what every councillor needs to know. So item 5.4 and 5.5 are new publications for this year, and so council will note that they look a little bit different than previous years. All these items discussed tonight will be placed in the council's Google Drive under council resources, so that way you don't have to go and look for them in previous agendas.
Thank you. 5.4, sorry. Did that. 5.5 is also included there, and 5.6 Municipal Government Act.
So Municipal Government Act is provided by a hyperlink, provided digitally. In the councillor's cabinet up there, there's hard copies of the MG as well for council review should they require. The reason we provide a hyperlink because I think it's 300 some pages long.
610.
Oh, 610.
Thank you. 5.7 Robert's Rule of Order Summary.
Your Worship, that item is also available in hard copy and electronically in Council's cabinet, as is 5.8 Parliamentary Procedures Motions Guide.
Thank you. Do you need a motion to accept these for information?
That'd be great, Your Worship. Thank you.
So moving on to Councillor Coulter.
I'll accept our motion to accept the above as information.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Item 6, setting of regular meetings and standing committee dates and times.
So at the organizational meeting, through resolution, we set the dates and times for regular council meetings and standing committee meetings for the 2022-23 term. Setting of the regular council meeting schedule and that of the standing committee of council schedule has been done, so taking into account statutory holidays over the course of the year. Reference to setting of meeting dates and times is further identified in the council procedural bylaw 1265.22 Part 7, meetings of council, and also in the Municipal Government Act, the revised statutes of Alberta 2000, chapter M26, current as of June 17th, 2021, under section 193 and 195. Executive and legislative assistant and myself have reviewed the dates because we always seem to struggle, and sometimes because of a statutory holiday, find that there's a conflict. We're quite certain that we've got the dates correct, and there's been a calendar provided that provides those meeting dates and stat holidays and such. Administration's recommendation is that council move to accept the proposed 2022-23 schedule where the town of Blackfalds regular council meetings are held on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month, commencing at 7 p.m. in council chambers at the municipal office, and that the meeting of December 27th be canceled due to being a statutory holiday in lieu of Boxing Day. And second motion that council moves to approve the town of Blackfalds standing committee meetings to be held every third Monday, commencing at 7 p.m. with no meeting in February due to the third Monday falling on the statutory holiday.
Thank you. Questions? Comments? Councillor Cook.
Thank you. I did notice, not specifically with the dates for the regular council meetings and the standing council meetings, which I realize is what this this item particularly is pertaining to, but I did notice some inconsistencies regarding the boards. and the board dates that I'll be bringing up when we discuss the outside.
Thank you. Any other comments? Deputy Mayor Council.
I actually like this calendar. We've never had it presented before, and this is great, so thank
I know.
you very much.
You're welcome. That was not my doing, it was Danielle's. Thank you.
Thank you. So we do have, any other questions before we move on to the two administrative recommendations? Seeing none, we do have two motions. Deputy Mayor Spaulding.
I'll move that council moves to accept the proposed 2022-2023 schedule where town of Blackfalds regular council meetings are held on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month, commencing at 7 p.m. in council chambers at the municipal office, and that the meeting on December 27th be canceled due to being a statutory holiday in lieu of Boxing Day.
Thank you. Debate or discussion on motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That is unanimous. Second motion. Councilor Sands.
I'll move the council moves to approve the Town of Blackfalds Standing Committee meetings to be held every third Monday commencing at 7 p.m. with no meeting in February due to the third Monday falling on the statutory holiday.
Thank you. Debate or discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That is unanimous as well. Moving on to item number 7, the appointment of the deputy mayor.
Thank you, Worship. During the organizational meeting, council formally determines and sets the deputy mayor appointments over the course of the council term. The 4-year term allows each council member the equal opportunity to serve as deputy mayor for an 8-month term. Section 152, subsection 1 of the MGA requires that council appoint one or more councilors as deputy mayor so that the office is filled at all times. The council member filling the role of deputy mayor will act as the chief elected official when the chief elected official is unable to perform the duties or when the office of the chief elected official is vacant. In addition, the deputy mayor will chair the standing committee of council meetings for their term as outlined. Councillor Stendy assumed the role of deputy mayor commencing this past July. On July 29th, she notified council members of the chief administrative officer of her desire to relinquish the position of deputy mayor for unspecified reasons, effective immediately. This may be done by appointing a council member to this role for the specified rotation period, or by moving the rotation up to 1 8-month term and having the first serving council also assume the role of deputy mayor for the last 8-month rotation. At the August 9th, 2022 regular council meeting, council extended the 5 councillors as deputy mayor for an extra 6 weeks and removed Councillor Vallon from the deputy mayor rotation and replaced with Councillor Coulter. This afternoon, I forwarded the amended rotation schedule, and my apologies in the oversight in the rotation that was provided to council.
Thank you. So we will need a motion to accept the amended schedule, or
That schedule was already
Okay.
accepted, formally accepted.
Thank you. Moving on to item 8, council remuneration and compensation policy 156/21.
In 2021, the town of Blackfalds undertook a council remuneration and compensation review to determine rates for the 2021 to 25 council members. Council Remuneration Review Committee was formed through appointment of a citizen representation at the June 22nd, 2021 regular meeting of council. The citizen members were assisted by members of administration and representatives of Hillcrest Financial Consultants, who undertook a survey and analysis of the council remuneration process. On July 5th, 2021, the Remuneration Committee, comprised of residents of Blackfalds and administrative staff members, was presented with information by Hillcrest Financial, which compared council compensation and benefits to 12 comparator communities that were in the range of plus or minus 10% of the municipal measurement index. At the November 9th, 2021 regular council meeting, the council approved the council remuneration policy 156/21, and this council remuneration and compensation amounts are provided that were approved at that time. And council remuneration and compensation policy 156/21 is attached to this report as well, Your Worship.
Thank you. And do we need a motion to accept our information?
Yes, we can accept it as information, Your Worship.
Have a motion to accept this for information. Councilor Dennis?
Also move.
Thank you. All in favor? That's unanimous. Items 9, 9.1, Federation of Canadian Municipalities attendance.
The Federation of Canadian Municipalities is a national voice of municipal government since 1901 and represents 90% of Canada's municipal population. Members include Canada's largest cities, small urban and rural communities, and approximately 12 provincial and territorial municipal associations. Municipal leaders from all parts of Canada assemble annually to establish FCM policy and key issues. The Federation of Canadian Municipalities annual conference has been attended by Blackfalds Council and the CAO for the past 14 years. This annual conference brings together municipal leaders from across Canada and offers participants opportunity to learn from each other, network with peers, and build productive working relationships, along with opportunity to attend valuable workshops and webinars. At the organizational meeting, council is requested to determine the attendance for the conferences taking place within the 4-year term, and this was confirmed at the 2021 organizational meeting as follows. So it shows the conference for end of May next year in Toronto, in June of 2024 in Calgary, and in Ottawa in end of May, first part of June of 2025. Accommodation and travel arrangements have been confirmed for the 2023 conference. However, following the organizational meeting in 2021, there was further discussion and possible changes in council members' attendance to the various conferences. Administration is seeking to reconfirm those attending for the remaining 3 years of this term.
Thank you. Councilor Cindy?
So we did have some conversation because I believe that Councillor Sands will be attending in 2023 along with Deputy Mayor Appel. And I had offered to Councillor Coulter, because she had not had the opportunity to attend FCM before, and I have, and she joined us a little late on council, so she missed the divvying up of who was going to attend. I offered her my place, so I believe she will be attending with Councillor Spa in 2025.
Okay, so just to try to have this right, 2023, it's Mayor, Deputy Mayor Appel, and Councillor Sands. 2024, all of council's going to attend because it's in Calgary, and 2025, Councillor Coulter and Councillor Spa.
Sorry, it could also just be edited to say Councillor Appel because I'm no longer deputy
That's
mayor.
right.
So yeah, that's cool.
So if I could just get
Those are the same notes that I had.
a motion on that, that'd be great.
Thank you. So we do have an amended motion, or the motion is not, the list is amended, but the Councilor Cindy.
I'll move that council confirm attendance for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities for years through to 2025 as amended.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. And 9.2, the Alberta Municipalities Convention attendance.
The Alberta Municipalities Association was founded in 1905 and today represents Alberta's urban municipalities. Their brand officially became Alberta Municipalities Association in 2021. Representation of the association includes cities, towns, villages, summer villages, and specialized municipalities, as well as associate and affiliate members. Alberta Municipalities Association offers important advocacy services as well as a broad range of business services to its members. The Alberta Municipalities Convention is held each fall, typically in Edmonton or Calgary, with attendance from Alberta municipalities, dignitary speakers, and trade show presenters. The 2023 AMA Convention and AMSC trade show will be held September 27th to 29th at the Edmonton Convention Center. The convention is available for attendance by all council members with sufficient budget in place for this activity. Administration is recommending that council move that all council and the CAO will attend the 2023 Alberta Municipalities Association Convention in Edmonton, taking place September 22nd to 29th.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions for CAO Thompson? Seeing none, we do have administrative recommendation. Councillor Pell.
Thank you. I move that all of council and the CAO will attend the 2023 Alberta Municipalities Association Convention in Edmonton, taking place September 27th to 29th, 2023.
Thank you. Debate or discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. And moving on to item 10.1, FCSS board member resignation.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. On October 11, 2022, we received an email from Trish Willis to inform us of her resignation from a member-at-large position on the FCSS board. The FCSS board consists of 2 appointed council members, 1 Lacombe County citizen, and 5 to 7 members at large. The timing of this resignation allowed for this position to remain unfilled until the organizational meeting tonight, where it can be filled along with vacancies on other council boards. I just have a motion in front to accept her resignation with regrets.
Thank you. Someone, Councillor Stenby.
I'll move that council accept the resignation of Trish Willis from the FCSS board effective immediately with regrets.
Thank you. All in favor? That is unanimous. 10.2, library board member resignation.
Yeah, so the library administrator received a voicemail from Marjorie Tice to inform us that she will not be reapplying for the member-at-large position on the municipal library board. The municipal library board consists of 2 appointed council members and up to 8 members at large. The timing of this resignation allowed once again for us to remain unfilled until this organizational meeting tonight, where it can be filled along with other vacancies on other town boards. So again, we accept her resignation with regrets.
Thank you. Someone will move that recommendation. Deputy Municipal.
I'll move that town council accept the resignation of Marjorie Tias from the municipal library board effective immediately with regrets.
Thank you. All in favor? That is also unanimous. And 10.3, recreation, culture, and parks board member resignation.
On July 28th, 2022, we received an email from Jennifer Slicky to inform us that she will not be reapplying for a member-at-large position on the Recreation, Culture, and Parks Board. The Recreation, Culture, and Parks Board consists of 2 appointed council members, 1 Lacombe County citizen, and 5 members at large. The timing was over summer where we do not meet for the rec board, so we allowed it to remain unfilled until the organizational meeting tonight, where it can be filled along with other vacancies on other town boards. So again, we accept her resignation with regrets.
Thank you. Motion to Councillor Sands.
We'll move that council accept the resignation of Jennifer Mislicki from the Recreation, Culture, and Parks Board effective immediately with regrets.
Thank you. All in favor? That is unanimous. Moving on to item 11.1, council board committee policy 147/20 and procedures.
Thank you, Worship, Council. The Council Board and the Committee Policy 147/20 policy and procedures is provided in Council's agenda package for your review. There's no motion needed on that.
Thank you.
Following that, Your Worship, we have 11.2, which is members at large and council members' appointments to town Blackfalds boards, committees, and commissions. Annually at the organizational meeting, council appoints members at large and members of council to various town boards, committees, and commissions where vacancies exist or terms have expired. These appointments are made in accordance with each town board, committee, and commission bylaw or terms of reference. The FCSS volunteer program receives and processes the volunteer applications with the objective to have as many volunteers as possible involved in numerous boards, committees, and commissions. The applicant information is compiled and recommendations are provided in spreadsheets for presentation to council. Recommended appointments of members at large and council members of town of Blackfalds boards, committees, and commissions spreadsheet is attached to tonight's package and is formatted in columns with color-coded sections. The spreadsheet lists all the current boards, committees, and commissions appointments with the current members who are reapplying, shown in yellow, new applicants recommended for appointment, shown in blue, and historic council member appointments to boards, committees, and commissions as noted in red. A brief description of for each board, committee, and commission, the council board committee policy and bylaws in terms of reference for the boards and committees and commissions are attached. Administration requests that council appoints the members at large, followed by council member appointments. The appointments to external boards, committees, and commissions are all in a subsequent report. And pleased that manager board and their volunteer program Akira are here to go over the appointments, recommended appointments by council.
Thank you. Welcome.
Your worship, members of council, and I want to thank you for taking the time with us at standing committee to go through all the details of this. It's a very onerous process, and special commendation to Kara for going through it every year. As I mentioned then, volunteerism is tricky right now, and so we're very fortunate to have a bunch of people that are really interested in participating in our council appointed boards and committees and commissions. So we have a couple at the bottom there, recommendations in blue for our Economic Development and Tourism Advisory Committee. We have in yellow 4 members interested in reapplying that we have been in contact with the administrators of each of the boards and had good conversations about who these individuals are and their roles on the board, and that we look forward to having them continue to be involved if council wishes. And this year we have for Economic Development and Tourism Advisory Committee interest shown from Melissa McLeod, who has also been sitting on the FCSS board for the last several years and is wonderful. So the Economic Development and Tourism Advisory Committee will be lucky to have her. On FCSS, we have no current members reapplying. They're all still either have left their post or sticking around for the remainder of their terms. And we have 2 new volunteers in the community, Glenda Brown and Leslie Reddick. On the Municipal Library Board, we have 2 members reapplying, Vincent Wolf and Glenda Brown, and we have a new application from Star Sinclair to sit on that board. With the Recreation Culture Parks Board, we have a new volunteer, Keith Kerr, interested in that board. And policing, again, 2 new interested volunteers, Tom Tompkins and Lori Copeland. With our Municipal Planning Commission, we have 1 member reapplying and a new volunteer, Richard Poole. And I believe those are all of the internal ones we're doing.
Thank you. Any questions for manager board? And just one quick question, just for the benefit of people listening. We have I see at least 1 vacancy, and there's some boards that have open, like they have numerous positions that could be filled. Will we accept applications throughout the year for these, or just during the?
Absolutely, yeah. It's sort of dependent. If we were to see someone resigning from the board within the same quarter as the upcoming org meeting, we will often leave the space vacant until the org meeting. But if circumstances change and they need to resign, we will bring resignations to council. And if we have interested volunteers, which we do have by time, individuals new to the community or new to the opportunity are interested in joining boards. So we definitely can track that.
Thank you. So just for anyone watching, if they are interested, they can certainly contact FCSS volunteer coordinator and submit an application. Councilor.
Thank you. I did just have one thing that I noticed, and it's not specifically with the appointments, just regarding the information. I noticed that for the policing committee, it states that members are appointed for a 3-year term. However, I did verify with the bylaw, and the bylaw states it can be 1, 2, or 3-year terms. So I just thought that should probably be perfectly figured out. Thank you.
And then just one other thing that Deputy Mayor Schwab brought up earlier is that for the NPC, we would also need to appoint a chair and a vice chair for the duration of this upcoming year. So we can go to that. And I believe that currently Deputy Mayor Sabah is the chair of the NPC. So we do have 3 council members that do sit on that, and we'll continue. Who's your vice?
Councillor Dennis.
Okay, so it is open for discussion, but again, from the perspective of council, we've had this discussion in the past that just for continuity and for the learning curve, we typically like to have board members and as well as those chair positions sit for typically 2 years, so that person has some experience or continuity experience. But unless there's any discussion, we would need a motion to appoint those 2 individuals as chair and vice chair. Discussion or comments on that matter?
What do you think?
You can be
You
vice
good
chair.
where you are?
Or if you want to be vice chair.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure, I'll try that.
sure.
Okay, so
Thank
we,
you for
I
that.
share.
so we have a suggestion here that rather than Councillor Dennis as vice chair, that Councillor Sands takes that rollover. So I think that probably proved that someone that's not on NPC that makes that motion. Councillor Stendy,
Do you want it in one motion or 2?
administration is it sufficient to have one motion?
One motion to controversial.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will move that Councillor Spa remain as chair and that Councillor Sands be vice chair for Municipal Planning Commission.
Thank you. Debate or discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That is unanimous. And if I can get a motion to accept the board's positions. Councillor Bell.
Thank you. I move that council appoint members at large to town boards, committees, and commissions as recommended by administration in our beautiful table chart.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate on that motion? All in favor? And that is unanimous. Moving on to item 12, the external boards, committees, and commission appointments.
Your worship, I believe that the standing committee, council had some brief discussion on these appointments and determined that they were going to remain on those external boards and committees as current into next year.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion from council before we accept the motion? So I did want to make a comment because I did go through some training this past week with both the wastewater and the water commissions. I think it's just prudent to point out that there are outside boards that members of council sit on where they hold fiduciary responsibilities to those boards. So it's important for everyone, including the public and members of council, to understand that while those members are sitting on those boards, where they have responsibility to those boards, they are essentially not making decisions as they would as a council, a member of council. They have to, and they are responsible to make decisions for the benefit of that board and that committee. And in some cases, those decisions may not be consistent with what their decision may be when they are on council. So it's just important for the public to understand that if someone is voted one way for one of those boards, that item comes to council, it is perfectly acceptable that they tend to and they can vote against that as a member of council. They have separate responsibilities and legal duties to those. That said, these are also, it's stated in the NPC, or sorry, the MGA, that is their responsibility to do that. So if there's no discussion, we will accept. Yes, Councillor Bell.
Sorry, just again, not an issue with the appointments, just something I noticed in the chart that again, under policing committee, it says first Wednesday of the month, which I believed it was supposed to be when we had this discussion at the standing committee, but reading the bylaw, it's actually the fourth Wednesday. So, just a typo thing. Yeah. So right at the very top of that thing where it is, explains the dates, but appointment wise, I have
Okay, thank you.
no issues.
Deputy Mayor Sabah.
We did have a discussion regarding appointments for some of the boards that were alternate for IRIC. St. Greg's, Central, another one. There's another one, or the municipal users group, but we haven't appointed those people for the alternates. I know that Councillor Stendy was interested in being alternate for St. Gregory the Great.
Yeah, that was do that.
Oh, sorry, I had that written down that was me.
Perfect.
It's not on here. And then, I can't remember what IRIC was.
That was me. I was alternate.
Was there any other ones?
The only other one that I had written down was that Councillor Coulter was going to be taking over for Parkland Regional Library.
Yeah, she was on, it's corrected on here.
Thank you, administration, do you want those? Or should we send those to you later?
Yes, your worship. So if we get a motion on council's attendance on the various boards and committees, the town boards and committees, continuing into the next term, as well as the amended changes to the external boards and committees. And then we have
One motion or two motions?
two motions.
Thank you. Can I get a first motion to accept the attendance moving into the next term, next year?
So
Councilor Sands, any other discussion? All in favor? That is unanimous. And then another motion to accept the amendments. Councilor Pell?
Thank you. I move that council formally appoint members to external boards, committees, and commissions as amended. Would you like those amendments listed in the motion?
Any discussion? All in favor? And that is unanimous. And that brings us to the end of the organizational meeting. I will adjourn that at 7:37. And we will move into our regular council meeting for this evening. So I will call that meeting to order at 7:37. Although we would normally do a land acknowledgement, I will have that struck because it was, we did a land acknowledgement in the org meeting. So that said, if I can get a motion to accept the amended agenda for this evening. All right, unless is there any other amendments to the agenda? Council, any other amendments? Give me a motion for that amended. Councilor Coulter.
I move that we accept the October 25th, 2022 amended agenda.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? That is unanimous. We do have two delegations this evening. Our first, 4.1 is Varme Waste Energy. So,
I don't think they're in attendance, your worship.
I thought maybe this was virtual, so we don't have virtual attendance here. All right. Well, that certainly speeds things up. Our next delegation, we are joined by a number of members of the Blackfalds RCMP detachment led by Sergeant Duke. Welcome for the RCMP third quarter report. Good evening.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. Thank you for having me here again. Still hard to get used to doing this after 2 years of not being able to talk to people face to face. I'd like to start there with just a quick update on the state of the detachment. We have kind of a unique problem for us. We're running into the likelihood of having too many members here shortly. So we'll be addressing that. Currently we have one hard vacancy, which is filled, if you recall, then Corporal Garland's position, he promoted out, left the position vacant. That's been filled by Corporal Michael Goss, who hails from Hogan. So it's another local close to home. We'll be happy to have a very experienced member. We currently have 2 members on a graduated return to work. So this is where we potentially have too many members. When they return to full duties, there'll be surplus to establishment, as well as one expected back from maternity leave in mid-December. We've had a unique opportunity this quarter that we managed to support 2 members to do some a relief deployment up in Nunavut. So expand their experience for our own gain here and we get return. As most of you are aware, our PSE manager, Bonnie Lee Johnston, has retired. We wish her well. You may see her over at the Eagle Building Center. We advertised her position internally for promotion with a 40-kilometer radius. That poster has since closed with 4 suitable candidates. But that's where we are in the process now. I know we have 4 suitable candidates, so we'll move forward from there. Once they're identified, we'll do the rest of the selection process can begin with interviews, etc. I'll get into our stats. So September to September, for 2021, just the month of September, we had 3 thefts of motor vehicles this September, which is, should have done that differently, year to date, sorry, from January 1st to September 30th. We had a decrease of 16.1%, which is actually 5 fewer thefts of motor vehicles year to date. Break and enters, we showed a 9.7% increase, which means the town of Blackfalds had 3 more break and enters than last year this time. Theft under $5,000 decreased by 33.3%, which meant 22 fewer actual occurrence rates. So in total, year to date 2021 to 2022, we've had a 22.6% decrease in persons crime, a 20.7% decrease in property crime, and a 21.6% decrease in total criminal code offenses. When we compare that to our provincial detachment, very similar numbers. A little bit more volume on the provincial side, increased population, et cetera, but we're showing the same thing. I think they had a slight trend up in both vehicle thefts and break-in enters, but within the same percentage margin. Compared to 5 years ago, our total persons crimes, we've enjoyed a 13% decrease in persons crimes. So from a total of 138 persons crimes in 2018 to 120 in 2022. Total property crime, in 2018, we had 343 property crime offenses. And this year, so far, we're at 226. So that's a decrease of 34% growth. Total criminal code from 564 to 402, which is 29% decrease. So, yeah, we're moving in the right direction. I think the whole holistic approach we all seem to have gravitated to right across the province is making a difference. So, moving forward, update on the APP. So the second quarter of our APP ended at the end of September. That the annual performance plan is the year starts on April 1st. So this year, our GIS and crew team, just to expand on our first quarter update, the GIS crew teams continues to focus on crime reduction, specific focus on political offenders in their areas. We continue to use that project focus to assist with the tracking of our offenders and hotspot policing. We continue to partner with Auto Theft Unit for the Bait Vehicle Program and with neighboring GIS units for larger investigations. And that unit has a close relationship with the Lacombe counterparts. So interagency cooperation there makes a big difference. On top of that, though, in this quarter, they've been hit with some really major investigations. So you may recall our fatal hit and run there at the red light, just south of Red. On top of that, they've identified a regional investigation where one person or group of persons was committing offenses in Blackfalds, in Rocky Mountain House, and Innisfail, and we've tied that all together. So we're coming to a successful resolution on that as well. Road safety was the next initiative. We continue. We've had several joint operations. both in Blackfalds and their neighboring communities, the Clive and Gull Lake and Springbrook. Continuing to be monitored and driven by Corporal James McKinnon, which is one of our general duty watch commanders. This year, we've also undertaken to continuously improve police and community relations. So I brought some help today. One of those initiatives under that priority is to bring more of our members to the meetings, such as council meetings, and also like the policing committee meeting and things like that. Doesn't always work out. We have to make sure operations allow. But I brought with me today, Constable Ryan Fleer. He's a very experienced member. He came to us from Redwater. He's originally from Ontario. This is your third post. So he is currently our acting corporal until Corporal Gosco, actually, on November 9th. Next, I have Constable Nathaniel F. He came to us out of Rocky Mountain House. This is his second post. And originally from Ontario. Here. And then we brought along Constable Danielle Lohman. And this is also her second post. She came to us from Jasper. And she is from Central Alberta originally. So,
Thank you, Norm.
thanks for coming. So increased meetings. So far this year, we as a detachment, we've participated in 40 meetings overall between all of our partners. I don't always get to bring members along, but we've been doing fairly well at that as well. The importance of those meetings is we had some surprise results. For instance, we went to the Gasoline Alley Business Association meeting, which was held at the Dome. Never been there before. And we left there with realizing that they have a large history of working with law enforcement and military for rehabilitation training and things like that for like physical sports injury type stuff. And so they're interested in assisting our members, local members, Blackfalds, Red Deer, Sylvan, Innisfail with sports rehab. And lots of professional background there with the NHL and things like that. So it's high quality stuff. Never know what some of these meetings can lead to as far as partnerships. One of the other initiatives related to this was committed to doing a little bit extra sharing with some of our neighbors. So Gull Lake, Clive, and Springbrook now also get zone reports along with the same reports I sent to this council. And additionally, some of you might have noticed the Blackfalds Weekly News that we can use since this quarter, and so far I think that's working well. Occasionally we're going to, I think probably for the life of it, have logistical issues at times, but it seems like we sorted through those fairly quick. So. Victim Services continues to do great work for us. Shauna Wyatt is still the executive director, and she and her staff continue to be a huge asset for our attachment and for the local communities. So far, year to date, they've been called out 27 times, and they have received 351 referrals in support of victims. So they're a busy unit and well run. And that concludes my report, unless there are questions, comments, or concerns that I can address.
Council, questions or comments? I will say we have met, we met with the detachment or K Division commander just a number of weeks ago. Had a lot of positive things to discuss, including our relationship, or positive relationship with this detachment. Our school resource officer has been taking part in an initiative with the region, a youth coalition, our youth action coalition, which is really positive, involving the schools, Alberta Health Services, and quite a good representation from the RCMP and our own bylaw officers. So we really do appreciate the community level involvement that this detachment has. So, and I appreciate whenever yourself and any additional members can come and meet and greet with us, so we could put some faces to the names perhaps that we hear. So thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. We have no public hearings this evening. We have no business arising from the minutes. First item of business, 7.1, the CAO report for October.
Thank you, Worship, Council. Just some general items, I attended Municipal Affairs, Alberta Municipalities Convention in Calgary with Council, September 21st through the 23rd. I took part in a Zoom meeting regarding the Reside program facilitated by RPAP. Intended engagement session with Minister Coping, that was also included the mayor and some of our council attendees. Attended the conversation about healthcare in Alberta that was facilitated by AHS at the Cambridge Inn at Red Deer on September 29th. Participated in the interview process for the Economic Development Officer position. We do anticipate having that position in place in mid-November and just going through the final steps of the recruitment process. On October 6th, I had a meeting with the Lacombe County Manager to discuss a number of topics of mutual interest to our respective municipalities. Also on October 6th, I participated in a core audit along with many other of our staff members and His Worship as well. I'm optimistic that our organization did well in the audit process, and we look forward to getting these results in the near future. With Enforcement and Protective Services during the month of October, officers have continued to focus on traffic enforcement. With school zones continually being a problem, officers have been focusing their attention on these areas during peak times. In reviewing the speed sign statistics and complaints received on early morning high speeds, officers have worked some early morning patrols enforcing the Traffic Safety Act. This has proven effective in that several charges have resulted from this initiative. In preparation for winter, vehicle safety messages have been prepared and will be added to our social media. Messaging will be going out reminding residents of requirement to clean sidewalks within 72 hours of any snow or debris, as well as letters forwarded to vacant lot land owners, reminding them of this requirement as well. Through education, we hope to be able to reduce the number of infractions, chances of injuries, and accidents within our community. With emergency management, tomorrow's a big day. We have our LRAMP full-scale exercise. Arrangements are fully in place for this event with participation from all communities within LRAMP partnership, where each will be activating their incident command post within their community at the same time to deal with the exercise scenario. These exercises are designed to test our regional ESS plan, and we will have several AEMA staff members in attendance, as well as CRA-HMIT members assisting and observing in the various communities. Invitation has been extended out to council members if they're able to attend, although we realize it's during the day and that might be difficult. In fire, we've had 3 recruits been brought into the department, bringing the numbers up to 28 paid on-call members. With training being a focus, 4 officers were successful in completing their NFPA 1001 Level 2 course. CCANs have arrived and are in place at the Old Public Works Yard, where they are being prepared for the next months for training next year. The department held its annual Fire Prevention Week open house on October 12th. This was a great success with over 150 people attending. Our core audit is still underway, having started mid-September. The contractor has completed the interviews and is now going through the documentation. A meeting with the auditor will be held on October 19th to go over the documentation that they still require, and they hope to have all the collected data by the end of October, and will commence in writing the report. In corporate services, budget has been a main focus. Budget compilations and balancing, along with meetings held with council to set the budget assumptions. Once assumptions were determined, the final balancing prep work was completed, and a draft version of the operating budget was prepared for council and senior administration. Quarter 3 of the financial reports have been prepared and presented to council at tonight's meeting. The finance manager attended the GFOA annual conference. There was numerous information sessions and keynote speakers that offered perspectives on a variety of topics. In marketing communications, with the approval of the renaming of Drake Street, Marcom will be assisting in providing notice to the residents, including social media releases, and map updates. We are reviewing and updating the public engagement strategy, social media strategy, and communications plans. Creating an RFP to go to local organizations to assist in creating and installing permanent signage at the Bike Skills Park. A new timeline suggests it will have to be installed next spring. In 2020, Marcom created a video teaser trailer for Light Up Blackfalds. We would like to put together an updated video with more footage now that we'll be bringing back a more evolved version of the event to create more excitement. With IT, they're working on finalizing the lower level renovations, installing Wi-Fi access points, terminating data drops, installing boardroom TVs, and prepping the office space for staff prior to moving in. Continue to work with all departments on file duplication for our shared network drives, which is about 80% complete. I had several meetings with vendors for solutions and pricing to expand and improve our future endpoint and cybersecurity solutions. Infrastructure and property services with planning and development, proposed annexation of the northeast 24, 29, 27 west of the 4th. Application has been withdrawn by the initiating landowner. The department is currently preparing the documentation necessary to officially withdraw this annexation process from the land and properties right to tribunal and to advise the public accordingly. So there will be more information coming out in the near future. The draft certificate of compliance policy with the company procedures is in its final drafting stages, and once approved, will provide guidance to planning development on staff on the issuance of certificates of compliance and non-compliance to ensure transparency and consistency. All development permit applications have been updated so they can now be electronically filled in and signed, and the specific submission email address has been established. Over the next several weeks, staff will work with communications to update the planning and development page with these forms and instructions how to electronically submit. The draft offsite levies bylaw process is in full swing and will be ready for public engagement in the foreseeable future, with engagement plans to be presented to council for review and feedback. Infrastructure and services, we're pleased to have Centec in attendance tonight to provide an update under the information section on the Eagle Builder Center parking lot and Womack's Drake Street road realignment project. The department has also had 2 expressions of interest posted for parking lot snow removal and snow removal for roadways. The expression of interest closed on October 14th, and the department is currently reviewing submissions. Since council approved the 18-month contract extension for the town's solid waste management contractor E360 at the October 12th meeting, steps are being taken to update the current agreement to facilitate this extension in time for January 23rd, January 2023 renewal date. Public Works Department is currently updating the water flushing program for Public Works to include new areas built within the community since 2017, when the program was last updated. The flushing program will be conducted next summer. The Infrastructure Services Manager attended the Alberta Pavement Management Group workshop on October 18th. The workshop included representatives from municipalities throughout the province, including a number from Central Alberta. The focus of the workshop was to review various pavement repair and replacement techniques and their applicability. The Infrastructure Services Manager and the Director attended the Recycling Council of Alberta conference that was held last week. The main theme this year was the circular economy, and the representatives from government, industry, and nonprofit all attend the conference to learn upcoming trends. The final field survey for the pavement management study capital project was conducted this month. The department is awaiting an updated schedule from Stantec, but it anticipates a delay in receiving the final report due to the delay in field study being completed. Utility rates have been finalized and were presented at the October Standing Committee of Council. The department work plan is also being updated to reflect the current status of tasks and programs. With community services, the Abbey Center, they're happy to have Katie Weeks join their permanent staff as a children's services attendant, which allows the Abbey to offer regular child minding hours again in the evenings and run over PD day camp, which resumed for the 2022-23 season on October 7th with 100% registration. We have welcomed back our JC classes to the field house as part of our joint use agreement with the Wool Creek Public School Division. Staff have been working with the Blackfalds Ministerial Association to support their plan to return to Remembrance Day service. And the staff are partaking in the ICS 100 basic emergency management online training, as well as the general manager Simpson and guest services team leads. Reeves will take part in the LREM full exercise that takes place tomorrow. Downstairs renovation of the Civic Center is complete. We're just awaiting the last portion of furnishings and transitioning staff to the new workspaces. The food bank is nearing completion, where the cabinets have gone in, the doors have been installed, and the flooring, I believe, is got done as well. There's a bit of a delay because gas lines were installed for donated gas stoves, which put the construction back a little bit. But we're expecting to have the project fully completed the first week of November. At the Eagle Building Center, the showcase at the Eagle Building Center at the beginning of October was extremely successful, with 16 AGHL teams playing 2 games each and over 200 scouts in attendance. All the teams and scouts acknowledged that this was one of the best venues for this event. The FCSS, the Community Warmth Fall fundraiser, took place September 29th and raised over $6,200 in support for the Winter Coats for Kids program. Over 125 children and youth will be receiving brand new winter coats this season, thanks to the excellent support of the community. October is Burgers for the Month at Cilantro and Chives. The Lacombe location has been designed by guest chef Bailey Wigmore, with all proceeds supporting the winter coat programs. So if you're planning to go for lunch, or you can take your appetite for an impressive burger to help a good cause. Sierra Fitch, the new FCSS youth program, started with FCSS October 11th. The regular youth program is started up on the 17th. Participation has been exceptional. Manager board attended the Rural Health Professionals Action Plan Conference in Drayton Valley at the beginning of October and came home with great tools to continue the work of the Blackfalds Health Professional Attraction and Retention Committee. FCSS has been successful with a grant application for $15,000 through the Rural Development Network Reaching Homes Innovation. The Blackfalds Reaching Home project will enable FCSS to support residents with eviction, utility relief, emergency temporary accommodations, and local grocery store gift cards for emergency access. The project is broken into 2 parts, with $5,000 available through to March 31st of 2023, and an additional $10,000 for the 2023-24 fiscal year ending March 31st, 2024. Access will be determined through a case-by-case intake process, and ensuring residents are met with dignity and supported to feel heard and seen. FCSS will work closely with the Rural Development Network to ensure an effective application and reporting structure is established and maintained. The FCSS board also reviewed the first draft of the social needs assessment and are continuing to work with the consulting team. Parks facilities, Parks Division wrapped up the 2024 flower season, cleaned up the planters, hanging pots, and flower beds, and also started planning and setting up the light up Blackfalds and closed All-Star Park operations for the winter season. And that's my report, Worship.
Thank you, Councilman. Any questions for you, Councilman? And can I get a motion to accept the CAO report for information? Councilor Dennis,
I'll make the motion to accept CEO Thompson's report for information.
thank you. All in favor? It's unanimous. And 7.2, request for decision for the regional SDAB bylaw 1274.22.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. Section 627 of the MGA requires council to establish a subdivision and development appeal board, also known as the SDAB, either locally or with one or more municipalities to establish an intermunicipal SDAB to hear appeals on development and subdivision appeals within their jurisdiction. The town of Blackfalds has fulfilled this obligation with their own SDAB, established under Bylaw 107608, which is comprised of at least 5 citizens at large who are appointed at the organizational meeting of council for a term of 1 year. A recent call out for SDAB volunteers did not result in a sufficient number of applicants. And in previous years, it has been difficult finding enough citizens at large to meet SDAB quorum. With this evening being council's organizational meeting and unsuccessful attempts at achieving sufficient numbers of citizens at large applications to sit on the SDAB, administration had discussions with Parkland Community Planning Services, or PCPS, to inquire about their 29-member regional SDAB. PCPS's regional SDAB operates much like a regional assessment appeal board models. Municipalities that are part of the regional SDAB make annual contributions and have a pool of board members and clerks trained and ready to conduct an appeal. PCPS currently has a pool of 12 board members from various municipalities in central Alberta that have been appointed and trained. There's also a pool of non-planner clerks and planner clerks the town could draw on if needed. The Standing Committee of Council reviewed the draft regional SDAB bylaw 1274-22 at their October 17, 2022 meeting, and the following motions were carried unanimously. First was Councillor Stendy moved that the Standing Committee of Council recommend to Council to consider 3 readings of the regional SDAB bylaw 1274-22 as presented at their next council meeting on October 25th, 2022. And Councillor Appel moved that the Standing Committee of Council recommend to Council upon giving 3 readings to the regional SDAB bylaw 1274-22 as presented. Authorize the town's mayor and chief administrative officer to sign the agreement for the intermunicipal regional subdivision and development board services. The annual contribution required for regional SDAB members, regardless of whether appeal is filed or not, is about $500 a year. If an appeal occurs, the town will accumulate additional expenses in the form of board per diems and expenses, clerk fees based on hourly rates, and hearing expenses such as advertising and legal fees. It's guessed around the typical appeal cost around $4,000 to $5,000. The town currently charges a $300 appeal fee to assist with the cost accumulated during an appeal. Council may want to consider increasing the appeal fee should the town join the regional SDAB through the LUB revisions coming later this year. The administrative recommendation is that Council give 3 readings of the regional SDAB bylaw 1274-22 as presented. And second, that Council, upon giving 3 readings to regional SDAB bylaw 1274-22 as presented, authorize the town's mayor and chief administrative officer to sign the agreement for the intermunicipal regional subdivision and development appeal board services.
Thank you. Council questions? Councilors, Bill?
Thank you. Just one question. If we are to go ahead with the regional board, will we be advising our current subdivision and appeal board members that they're like our community members that we will no longer be requiring their services?
Sorry, through the mayor, we currently don't have any at-large SDAB members. They are appointed at the organizational meeting every year, and this year we did not appoint any SDAB members.
Okay. And the only reason I'm saying that is because their names were on the chart that we approved earlier this evening, 2 returning members and 1 new one. So I just want to make sure that they're notified and they don't find out months down the road that their board doesn't exist anymore. Or is their help isn't required.
My apologies for that. I will connect with Kara tomorrow or the next day to sort that out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? So for these administrative recommendations, we will need, if we fulfill this, it'll be 5 motions, so 3 readings or 2 readings, a motion to go to 3rd reading, and then followed by the motion to allow the CAO and myself to enter into that agreement. So first will be first reading of the bylaw. Councillor Stendy.
I'll move that council give first reading of the regional subdivision and appeal board bylaw 1274.22 as presented.
Thank you. Debate or discussion? All in favor? And that is unanimous. Councillor Appel.
Thank you. I move that council give 2nd reading to regional SDAB bylaw 1274.22 as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? That is unanimous. Move to third reading, we need a motion to allow us to go to third reading. That's just Cindy.
I'll move that council move into third reading of the Regional Subdivision Appeal Board Bylaw 1274.22 as presented.
Thank you. Debate or discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor? So that is unanimous. We can move to a third reading. Deputy Mayor Spaulding.
I'll move that council give third reading of the regional SDAB bylaw 1274.22.
Thank you. Is that sufficient? A third and final reading? Third
and final, yes.
Thank you. All in favor? That is unanimous. And we do have the additional motion as noted as number 2 in the agenda. Councillor Call.
Thank you. I move that council, upon giving 3 readings to regional SDAB bylaw 1274.22 as presented, authorize the town's mayor and CAO to sign the agreement for intermunicipal regional subdivision and development board services.
Thank you. Debate or discussion on that motion? All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. 7.3, the request for decision for the municipal office space policy 163.22.
Thank you, Your Worship. The town of Blackfalds has provided office space for external agencies, specifically in the FCSS facility located at 5016 Waghorn Street. Currently, 2 office spaces that are surplus to the needs of FCSS operations are provided to Kids Connection Family Day Home Program, as well as the Alberta Health Services Children's Mental Health Services Program. Kids Connection pay a lease of $11 per square foot per month, plus a fee of $100 monthly for utilities. The HS program has provided office space on an in-kind basis. Earlier this year, Town Council provided a tour of the facility, which has a total of 8 office spaces, a small meeting room, a reception area, and washrooms. The building is aged, but is structurally in good condition, but does require reshingling. Annual operational costs for the building are determined to be approximately $12,000 per year. Council previously made a decision to have the office spaces in the FCSS facility once the municipal FCSS operations transition to the lower level of Civic Center, available to external health and social service organizations to provide programming and needed services for the town of Blackfalds residents. This would be accomplished through an established process of making individual office spaces available in the facility to these agencies. Many of these agencies may not be able to source individual office space in the private sector or are unable to financially do so. It is anticipated that grouping agencies that have similar social and health service mandates and goals would provide positive outcomes for our community, which may not be made available should this initiative not take place. The municipal facility office space policy has been developed to provide guidance for council and administration to determine how unallocated and surplus office space in municipal facilities may be made available, specifically targeting the community needs and gaps identified in the updated social needs assessment master plan. A draft of the plan has recently been before the FCSS board and will be before council in the near future. Appendices A and B with the policy are application and evaluation forms. These forms may be updated in the policy at a future date once a social needs assessment master plan is formally adopted. Although the current focus and priorities for office space in the FCSS facility, there are and may be in the future additional office space available for external agency utilization. These may include the Wadey Center and the Civic Center, with the Wadey Center being a facility where office space is currently available. The policy was brought before the Standing Committee of Council on October 17th for review, at which time the following resolution was approved. Councillor Sands moved that the Standing Committee of Council recommend that the draft municipal facility office space policy 163.22 be brought before council for formal approval. Under financial implications, because it's unknown what the uptake is requested for office space, it is anticipated any revenues provided by lease amounts will not totally offset the operational costs, and therefore there will likely be a financial deficit in the provision of this facility. Administration's recommendation tonight is that council approves the municipal facility office space policy 163.22 as presented.
Thank you. Questions for CEO Thompson? Comments? Councilor Collins?
Thank you. Just one. Through the chair to CAO Thompson, at the standing committee meeting, there was one slight wording change that council seemed to agree on, but I don't see that reflected here. So I just wanted to bring it up and ensure that, see how council feels about it. So it was in the procedure eligibility criteria 2.2.2. It currently states that it's looking for services that are not offered in the town of Blackfalds. And the wording amendment I was looking for was services that are currently limited in the town of Blackfalds.
Okay, we'll make those changes in the final draft. My apologies.
Everyone's okay with that? Yes. Thank you.
So that said, are we approving this as a draft still? So should that be the wording, or are we,
No, that'll be the final.
it'll be the final? Thank you. Any other comments or questions before we consider this motion? Seeing none, we do have administrative recommendation. Deputy Mayor Swab.
I'll move that council approve the municipal facility office space policy 163.22 as amended.
Thank you. Debate or discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, that is unanimous. Seven point four, a request for decision for Schedule C, the Community Services Facility Fee, Schedule Bylaw 1273.22.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. Generally, every 2 years, we review the rates and fees for recreation facilities. This last year, we did not review them because of COVID, so we did postpone them in 1 year. We presented these rates to the Recreation Board on September 7th and October 5th, and then again to you guys at the October 17th standing committee meeting. We did take note of the one comment you made, Councilor Dennis, and we did change and add weekdays into the non-prime rate for the arena. We did do some minor changes, mainly to the arena rates. We did add some name categories to the Abbey Center with the toddler rate and senior plus rate. But they were pretty much minor changes. And so we're just looking for first and second reading to bylaw 1273.22.
Thank you. Questions for Director Kirkwood? And just because this is something that also discussed at standing committee, that this will be reviewed at least for 1 year every year.
That is correct. But just with the way the economic situation is, we want to review it annually for at least this next year and potentially the next year after that.
Thank you. So we do have administrative recommendation to give first and second reading to the bylaw or office space policy. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. The schedule bylaw for fees. First reading. Is someone willing to make that motion?
I just have a question.
Sure.
Sorry. So changing that to weekdays, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., that wouldn't fall like on a Monday of a long weekend if there's a tournament there?
That's correct. If it is, just due to our ice allocation policy, we do have our named holidays where we're not open.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you.
Okay, so looking for a first reading for this bylaw 1273.22. Deputy Mayor Swab.
I'll move that council give first reading to bylaw 1273.22, Schedule C, Community Service Facility Fee Schedule. That will amend and form part of bylaw 1053/07.
Thank you. Debate or discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is unanimous. Looking for second reading? Councilor Coulter.
I move that council to consider second reading to bylaw 1273.22 Schedule C, Community Service Facility Fee Schedule that will amend and form part of the bylaw 1053/07.
Thank you. Peter, discussion on that motion? All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. 7.5, request for decision, the standing committee council meeting cancellation.
Town council has scheduled meetings for standing committee of council on the third Monday of the month, with the exception of those months where a stat holiday following on that date, or months where the second Tuesday of the month happens to follow the third Monday of the same month. Example would be upcoming month of November, where the meeting is scheduled for the 14th. Over the course of the last few years, many meetings were canceled or at least impacted by COVID-19 restrictions. This includes meetings that would have normally taken place with our municipal neighbors, including the city of Lacombe and Lacombe County. A regional council meeting took place with the city of Lacombe on May 18th in Blackfalds, and subsequent to that, meeting discussions and plans have been taking place with Lacombe County. Last meeting held with Lacombe County was several years ago and hosted by the county. November 14th has been a date that's been chosen as a preferred date that works best for all parties, and the meeting schedule would include the following. Intermunicipal Collaboration Framework Committee and Intermunicipal Development Plan Committee meeting to take place at 5 o'clock. That would be followed by a joint council dinner at 6:30, and that would be followed by a joint council meeting at 7 o'clock. Agendas will be finalized and circulated to the committees and respective councils in advance, as this date is the day of the standing committee of council would be meeting on. Council will need to cancel this standing committee meeting to participate in the regional meeting. If the meeting does proceed, the town will be hosting the meeting, and it would take place in the lower level boardroom. Administration's recommendation that council cancel the November 14th standing committee of council meeting in order to participate in the planned joint meetings with Lacombe County.
Thank you. Questions or comments? City Thompson. Would this meeting be open to the public? Have we had that discussion with the county?
We haven't had the discussion, Your Worship. Definitely, previous meetings haven't been attended by the public.
Thank you. So we have an administrative recommendation that would entail canceling the standing committee of council for the 14th of November in order to participate in the planned joint meeting with the Lacombe County. Councilor Coulter.
The motion that council cancels the November 14th standing committee of council in order to participate in the planning joint committee meeting with Lacombe County.
Thank you. Discussion and debate on that motion? Seeing that, all in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Seven point six, the quarterly financial report for the period ending September 30th, 2022.
Thank you, Worshiping Council. Before you have the quarterly financial report for the period ending September 30th, 2022. Appendix A is the operating statement of revenues and expenditures, which gives a high-level view of the revenues and expenditures incurred to date. This is the variance between the annual budget and the actual percentage of the budget. These main indicators will identify any areas of concerns, which there are none. Appendix B is the visual statement. Once again, these are high-level revenues and expenses with brief explanations on significant variances. Appendix C is provided for you, which is our capital projects for the period ending September 30th. These were reports of prior year's approvals plus the budget year and the capital planning, additional funding approvals, expenditures to date, and a brief update on the project status. Under Appendix D is the council expenditure report. And once again, these are year-to-date expenses based on a percentage of the budget. Just high level, I'll run through some numbers. 75% of our revenue has come in, which is around 16.4 million. And expenditures are around 15.1, which is just over 75%. Any surplus indicated in the report here is to be transferred to capital reserve as per the budget. Under environmental services, which is your self-supported utilities, year-to-date revenues around 5.8 million, with expenditures around 4.5. Once again, utilities are self-supporting with the surplus going into reserves as per the budget. Three motions in front of you this evening, which looks like they're all, except the three reports as information. And with that, I'll open up for any questions that you may have.
Councillor, questions on the report? Seeing none, someone prepared to move the first recommendation, accepting the operational statement variance for information. Councillor Sands.
I'll move that council accepts the operating statement and variance analysis reports for the period ending September 30th, 2022 as information.
Thank you. Debater discussion. All in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Second motion. Councillor Bell.
Thank you. I move the council accepts the capital project report for the period ending September 30th, 2022 as information.
Thank you. Debater discussion. Seeing none. All in favor? That is unanimous. Third motion. Councillor Coulter.
I move the council accepts the council's recommendation report for the period ending September 30th, 2022 as information.
Council expenditure report.
Oh, sorry.
Debater discussion on the motion. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to action correspondence, we have a letter from the Blackfalds Ministerial Association, which was discussed in the CAO's report. So I will be attending and giving words on behalf of the town.
Thank you, Worship. I did follow up as well with Pastor Gloss and just to ensure that all arrangements have been made. The Epicenter is again setting up the seating for the event as well as the sound system. I was also told that MP Culkins and MLA Orr have been invited to attend, and there will be a color party as in previous years, which includes the RCMP and our fire service, as well as other groups and organizations. I was told the RCMP are planning to march from the detachment down to the Epicenter in their surge, and so that's great. And also, if council could determine who will be participating in the laying of the wreath for our own use, that would be great as well.
Thank you. Questions or comments? So I was contacted by a veterans group also looking for, see if the town had a list of veterans to participate in this honor guard. I know that we are not the organizers for this, but I wonder, since we typically, I know we're not hosting it, we're not doing promoting it per se, but we usually share any posts that are put out by the Ministerial Association. I wonder if it's possible for our marketing communications to put an invitation of some sort for any veterans to submit their names, just to be maybe our historical society can keep that list, because we do have this come up every so often.
I did reach out to the Historical Society and they have undertaken that portion.
Okay, so it would be my request though that our marketing and communications, when they do share this, any social media posts, that we extend an invitation to any veterans to get in contact and then provide that information if possible. So the other part of the discussion by CAO Thompson was who would be willing to or interested in laying a wreath. So I'm giving words. I think it would be nice for other members of council if they wish to do so to lay a wreath on behalf of council. So is anybody particular that's interested in that?
I've done it before, so I'm willing to.
So I-
let someone else take it.
Councilor Sands? Usually it's, well, it can be as many, but I would say, 2 would be a good number if someone else would be willing.
Yeah.
Councilor Dennis. So Councilor Sands, Councilor Dennis. Do we need a motion to that effect?
No, we don't need a motion.
Okay, so we'll just get a motion to accept this for information then. Can I get a motion to accept this action for Councilor Sands?
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. That's unanimous. So we do have information items. First information item 9.1, Eagle Builders Center roadwork, parking lot and plaza update. So we do have Houghton Brad from Stantec that you're going to fill us in. Director Varme.
Yeah, so thank you, council. So we've got Brad Vanderhaven, professional engineer with Stantec out of Red Deer, presenting tonight to give us an update on this very important project being the Womack's grade upgrades.
Yeah, thanks, Preston. Thanks to your worship and members of council for having us here. We can appreciate it. It's been a long goal this summer here. It started with some challenges with CP and stuff, and work has been great. I know the delays would be frustrating here, but I do want to acknowledge that they've been really accommodating, working around CP's schedules and doing what they can in little pieces. And it's been particularly tough with getting concrete and stuff, but as you may have seen over the last few days, they got most control here. Yeah, good. Over the last few days, they have gotten some concrete at the intersection here, which is setting up things nicely for that intersection to get paved Friday and Saturday, with this new signals being commissioned on Friday. And so they're going to be coming up with a milling machine. Basically, that's a grinding machine that profiles the road like with existing asphalt, just to help new asphalt blend in and give a smooth surface there. So they're also going to be milling a bit on this section of Womack's here, so that gets repaved, as well as a little bit at this intersection, because that road has to be profiled for the new intersection configuration as well here. So if all goes according to plan, this should basically be in operation here by end of day Saturday or Sunday or Monday if things roll over, if there's some unforeseen incidents there or whatever. And basically capturing that critical paving work kind of at the last moments of summer here. We've been lucky that it's lasted as long as it has here. So after the paving is complete, they will still be continuing with topsoil and fencing work throughout November here. The intent is still to get it all done, rain or snow or shine here, I guess. And so they're going to be working on the remaining fence posts before it gets really cold. And but the rest of the fence can still be done during winter, even if it snows and stuff here. In the parking lot, there's a little bit of concrete curb that still has to be done in this area here, as well as here. Because concrete contractors have had a hard time getting to things, those are a little bit lower on their list. They won't be done this week, but they're hoping that they're going to be in here next week or the following week. And although winter is not ideal, they can do winter concrete. They put blankets on it and stuff so that it still gets completed this year. And so the expectation is that most of the work will be completed and possibly just a little bit of landscaping and general site cleanup in the spring. So.
Thank you, Councilor Dennis.
The area over here at the end of Broadway and Great Street at the old crossing, is that going to be paved too this year?
Is that this one here?
No, the other end.
So, Over here? Oh, yes, yep, yeah, that will get paved this year too, yeah, they've been working on that concrete today here, and they'll be paving that, on, Friday and Saturday as well. And, yeah, although there's not a ton of asphalt that has to go in there, it'll take a little bit of time because it has to be done with, a little bit of work, or small work chunks, down in pieces and stuff, and, try to keep traffic going at the same time and stuff here, so it's expected to take 2, maybe 3 days, so.
Councillor Colton.
I'm sorry, are you able to zoom in a little bit on 2A? Because I'm confused on how that road's happening.
Let's see if I can here.
Okay, so just so I'm understanding, because this looks different than what it did before, from when I initially seen this.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because it looks like you're putting in the right-hand turning lane coming off of 2A, but with doing the automatic left, it looks like you're taking out the straight across coming to the west.
This one here?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, there's 3 lanes here going westbound.
Yeah, but I mean on Greg Street when you come across.
Oh, from the west here.
Well, when you're coming from the east to the west.
Oh, okay.
Can you zoom in a little bit more for me, please?
Sure.
Because even when they were looking, like I'm sitting there going, okay, we got a right-hand turning lane coming, but where is the other 4 lanes coming at?
So you refer to these 4 lanes?
Yeah, like if you have your straight across coming from the east to the west across Highway 2A.
Yeah, that's this one here.
And it connects, so it's going to,
Yeah.
the automatic left or right hand that you have coming there, you're sort of moving that over.
Correct. There's a little bit of widening here. It's actually mostly happening to the south. But yeah, this lane here will be a dedicated right turn lane. This one will be a dedicated through lane. And this one will be a dedicated left turn lane.
Councillor Dennis.
So on the north, where you have that zoomed in on the north side, is there gonna be curb? Because they don't have curb in there yet.
No, there won't. That's just gonna be an asphalt shoulder there.
So what's the standard for a collector road? Is it to have curbs on both sides, like most of our collector roads do?
You could. It was really, I'll call it a cost savings measure here. And that road is actually profiled. It's, you won't see it on the plan view, but it's sloped, like because this geometry is so tight here, this is sloped like a highway curve where it's super elevation if you're driving into it there. So that ridge there is actually not going to collect any stormwater, or like what curb and gutter is normally used for. So it's just an asphalt shoulder and then a gentle side slope there. It's not that, and you could have a concrete curb and gutter, it just wouldn't do anything for drainage.
Deputy Michelle.
I'm just wondering, with there being a new pedestrian crosswalk going across, as well as the traffic signals being introduced, are we gonna have signage? So people know that we have a new crosswalk for the safety of the pedestrians and these turning lanes and everything being new.
Yeah, we talked about that with the contractor, and our opinion, we can put up new signs if you think it's worth it. Our opinion is that it's not a big enough change. Like this intersection has always been signalized with crosswalks. It's a little bit of a different configuration, but the fundamentals don't really change. It's not like if you're introducing a 4-way stop or new signals that people aren't used to, and they have to stop where they didn't used to have to stop. So we didn't really think it was new enough, but if you're more comfortable with having some new signs there,
I think for the pedestrians, I think it would be beneficial because now we're gonna have one crosswalk on one side of the highway down on Park Street, and now this one going on to Panorama is gonna be on the opposite side of the road.
Right.
So, and people are gonna probably still be in the old ways with the pedestrian crossing and not paying attention.
Yeah, there will be no crossing signs on the side of the road that they're not supposed to be on, so it,
But it's just for to alleviate the traffic that's been so consistent over the years of that crosswalk being on the other side of the
for
road.
sure, yeah,
So, and then, I have a subsequent for Womack's Road. There's broken pavement in a few sections. There's, probably, it's not being touched this year, but it's right by the new construction closer to 2A. I was just wondering if that's gonna get fixed anytime soon. I know that they've filled the hole, but it seems like the hole every year kind of comes out. It's by Lawton Avenue.
okay, this
Yeah.
particular area.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is getting milled and, replaced.
okay. And then the broken pavement on Lomax by Broadway, going into the parking lot, that wasn't filled in either, I don't believe.
Okay, this intersection, is planned to get reprofiled and paved here as well.
Okay, and also that hump that's in the new pavement, is that gonna be more straight?
This particular one?
That's where the final lift ended.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
so,
little tie-in.
Okay, I've just had people
Correct.
asking questions, so I just.
yeah,
wanna
no,
make
those are
sure
good
it's all
questions, yeah,
done. Thank you.
so.
Councillor Dennis.
On the crossing there on Womack's, the train crossing, it has asphalt sidewalk. Is that permanent?
You mean in this area here?
Yes.
Yes.
So why was asphalt instead of concrete? Just curious.
Yeah, it's a paved trail. Like trails are typically a little bit more comfortable for bikers and rollerbladers and stuff there. And it's considered a pretty key pedestrian connection east-west across Blackfalds there. And it's also a little bit less expensive than concrete, especially when you got a 3-meter wide pathway there. So.
I guess my one concern I have is we do have a lot of pets in town, people walking them, and in the heat, you don't walk them on the pavement. Which, yeah, that it wouldn't be good at all. But,
Now, on that note, when we're looking at, I know that, I think we're leaving, maybe you can clarify this, there's probably about a block of sidewalk that's not being upgraded along the what will be Womack, around Lawton Avenue, I suppose, between East and Lawton. It's fairly narrow and it's fairly close to at least one resident that has access. Is that correct? We won't have any upgrades whatsoever, just the standard sidewalk along there?
Yeah, it's if you want to feel better, that's.
Yeah, so that existing concrete on the south side of, from Lawton Avenue to about the Highway 2A, that would remain as being, I believe it's about 1.8 meters, 1.5 meters wide. We could go and pave or concrete the boulevard between the edge of the road and the front of the walk, but that would be a future project if we want to do that at a later time.
Yeah, I assume it would be future, but I think now that we've done the upgrades, especially when we go a little bit further west of that, where we've got the asphalt, a wider pathway, and of course, now we've got a pathway from 2A going at least part of the way, it becomes really blatant how narrow that is and how close that is to where those properties are. So I'd definitely like to see how much that potentially would be to widen that or move that sidewalk, or at least make it consistent as an asphalt pathway in the future.
Yeah, your worship, we'll definitely be looking at that moving forward.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Swell.
And then I just have a question about lighting, when you're coming off of Womack's, turning onto the new Great Way. There's that big, long crosswalk, and when it's dark, you can't see pedestrians on the crosswalk. I'm just wondering if we're gonna have brighter lights there. Also, the little crosswalk going on East Avenue as well, it's quite dark. And I'm just wondering about lights for that as well. because they're not good.
Yeah, no, really good questions, and what's out there was not what was originally approved and signed by the town there. So what happened there was Fortis's original budgetary plan included quite a bit of new lighting on the south side of the road, going all the way up to here to really kind of capture like a couple lights at each intersection, and the odd mid-block one that would have been way better. But there was I'll call it a mix-up here, and in the summer they submitted a new plan that everybody understood as just an interim thing that really just focused on this area, and it didn't acknowledge any changes further to the east. And we were all under the understanding that those poles were needed just for the construction phasing of getting the new crossing, the railway crossing open there. And I was actually this summer on site, and I said, where are all the poles actually for us to be doing this? And we found out that no, they considered that last plan final there for some reason. And we're still working out those details. They're going to start off with a few really quick improvements of rotating some of the lights so that they face a better direction and they'll have a little bit more brightness to them at the intersection. But then we're also working with them to reopen I guess the topic of getting better lighting at Lawton Avenue and East Avenue there too. So that hasn't gone unnoticed, and that's a great question. So.
Yeah, so just further to that, there will be some revisions to that larger intersection right away you're gonna see. It's actually out for construction right now, so it'll be a couple of weeks before we see somebody out there, maybe closer to a month. And then, as Brad had indicated, we'll be looking at other illumination improvements in that area, similar to what we did on Highway 2A by adding a light or two, just based off of the lighting levels we see in there.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you for all that information.
No, thank you.
We get lots of questions, so it's always nice to have some clarity. 9.2, the annexation of Northeast 24-39-27 WM4 or W4.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. Just to refresh council's memory, back in February of 2021, a county landowner did reach out to us, to the town of Blackfalds, to request annexation of their land. It's legally described as the Northeast 24-39-27 west of the 4th, excluding Lot 1, Block 1, Plan 0320195. Location map is provided in Appendix A of the report. Excuse me. Later on in 2021, council authorized administration to prepare and submit a notice of intent to initiate the annexation process. And in December of 2021, the notice of intent was submitted to local authorities, agencies, and adjacent landowners. The next step in the annexation process outlined in the Municipal Government Act and the Land and Property Rights Tribunal annexation procedure rules required a public engagement components. Letters were sent out soliciting comments on the proposed annexation, which were sent out to the Land and Property Rights Tribunal, the local authorities and agencies, and adjacent landowners. Part of that package included an invite to the public open house that was held in council chambers on March 31st, 2022. This open house was also advertised to the public through the town's website, social media channels, 2 editions of Lacombe Express, bulletin boards in the Civic Center, and the Blackfalds Public Library. Written submissions were received until April 14th, 2022. This public engagement process resulted in noted objections to the annexation, making this annexation application a contested one. An uncontested annexation is a very straightforward application to the province. However, now that this is considered a contested one, it will require additional resources from town administration and the initiating landowner. Administration met with the initiating landowner to discuss how they would like to proceed, knowing that we're going into this annexation as a contested one. And they advised in writing on October 6th, 2022, that they wish to no longer proceed with this annexation. The Municipal Government Act is silent on what we do when an annexation is withdrawn before the actual application was submitted to the province. And that actual application is that negotiation report, and that's what we were currently preparing. However, there are two sections in the MGA that will need to be adhered to, and that's section 116, which requires the town to keep the public informed about the proposed annexation. And section 119 compels the initiating municipality to submit a report to the Land and Property Rights Tribunal. This report would typically be the negotiation report. However, in this case, we're not moving forward with the negotiation report. So how we will be fulfilling these obligations under sections sections 116 and 119 of the MGA is that administration will prepare a report outlining what steps have been taken thus far, the results of the public engagement process, and discuss the withdrawal request from the initiating landowner. This information report will be presented to council for authorization before it is sent to the Land and Property Rights Tribunal, local authorities, referral agencies, adjacent landowners, and posted for public viewing. Any questions?
So with this, is any work that we've done, does that, because obviously at some point, I say obvious, but maybe it's not, it seems obvious to me that at some point that this would naturally be considered as for annexation again. Anything we've done to this point streamline that process in the future, or we would start from square one again?
Thank you, Mayor Hoover. We would be starting from square one. Every application needs to be assessed with current information. So an annexation in the future would have to have updated land supply information, growth projections, all that kind of stuff. So
Okay, thank you.
there's been lots of learnings though.
Yeah, I hope some value came out of that. Yes, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Any more questions? 9.3, 2023 capital budget.
Thank you, Worship and Council. So before you have the 2023 capital budget has been prepared for first review and comment. Presentation of the capital budget ahead of the operating budget will assist us to focus on key decisions for the upcoming year. Appendix A identifies the projects needed and the funding sources, whereas Appendix B lists all the project information and justification. There has been some additional projects included in this year that wasn't in the previous 10-year capital plan. They are listed in the memo there. The 2023 capital budget is presented for your direction tonight. Also, we'll be seeking input at both the November 5th budget workshop and with hopefully final approval of the budget on November 22nd at the regular council meeting. A number of projects have been deferred that were slated to be coming next year. There's a list there. I won't go through them all, but the decisions to defer these projects were made based on the issue of supply chain, pricing increases, and operational needs. The two major projects that carry the majority of the funding for next year is both the Cape Range lift station and the Northwest Storm. Total funding next year is just over $9 million, with most of that sitting in the rollover reserve, and the majority of the remaining is offsite levies, which is for the Northwest Storm and the lift station there. So, at this stage, it's just presented for information, but we are open to any comments or feedbacks at this stage. But as I mentioned, November 5th, we can have another discussion.
Thank you. Questions or comments? On that opportunity in November.
Excellent.
Thank you. 9.4 FCSS minutes on September 15th. 9.5 board letter dated October 13th, the Environmental Appeals Board. Lacombe County highlights from October 13th. A motion to accept information items for information. Mr. Sands.
I'll move to accept the information items as information.
Thank you. All in favor? It's unanimous. We do have round table discussion. I will start at the, let's say, bottom of the list, Councillor Appel.
Thank you. I don't have anything additional to add at this time.
You, Councillor Stendy.
I have no additions.
Thank you, Councillor Coulter.
I have no additions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sands.
Yeah, no additions for myself either.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis.
I have no additions.
Okay, you guys did very clear then. Deputy Mayor Swab.
I just wanted to mention about the engagement session with the Minister of Health. I thought it was really great. We sat at different tables, and there was a lot of different community people. I think there was a lady from Silver Lake that was there. That was maybe a health nurse, and there's just different parts of HS. So we had great conversations with them. We had to answer 4 questions in a group. And we had, because I was a counselor and they were something different, it was just a great learning tool and a learning curve. And after we had all of our conversations, I think there was 4 or 5 tables set up, then it was presented as a whole to the group. And then they were taking all of the information that they gathered from that session. And I believe they had 26 other sessions from around Alberta and using that as part of their tool to improve Alberta health services in the future. So I thought it was a great learning curve. And that's all I have to add to my roundtable discussion.
Thank you. And for myself, just one omission was pointed out by CAO Thompson in his monthly report is I did take part in the certificate of recognition audit process, that core audit. Just two things that I guess I could highlight. The City of Lacombe Council has extended invitations quite often in the last few months to different tours or things that they are taking part in. They've extended it to us. Take part in first was the tour of the Lacombe Airport, which was quite educational. I had no idea that the Lacombe Airport actually sees between 20 and 30 flights a day in and out of that airport, up to 8,000 a year. I was very surprised that many. They have actually recently upgraded or extended not the runway, but the taxiway in there to accommodate additional hangars. So they are actually actively expanding that. They're looking at trying to get a flight school, potentially to permanently operate out of that airport, which would be a big bolster. They, I guess, every so often do get flight schools come and host some flights, and as well as they've hosted some skydiving out of their facility every so often. I'd like to do that more. And the second one that I attended with the Lacombe Council, as well as Councillor Coulter was in attendance, was a tour of the Bylaw Brewery. That sounds really casual. It was actually very educational. A lot of the discussion with particularly the administration from the City of Lacombe. We had a tour by one of the founders of that, and they gave us a lot of information about potentially what Blackfalds could do to look at our bylaws, particularly our utility bylaw, to simplify the process should we have a microbrewery interested in coming to Blackfalds, because they were one of the first, I think, first 20 in Alberta to open a microbrewery. I think what they say now, 160, 170 now. So it's become a little bit more commonplace, but in the beginning, most of these municipalities that were approached for microbreweries didn't quite understand how to go through that process. What does it mean to have a brewery there? And Lacombe was no different. They were skeptical. Is this another big Labatt's? And is it going to be smelly? Is it going to be noisy? Something that the residents don't want. And as we've learned with the 160 or 170 microbreweries in Alberta, they're very welcome. They're very popular. So we we learned some very interesting things that we could do as a municipality to simplify the process should we be approached by a microbrewery. So I think that we could have a discussion in the future as to what we could do, because I'm sure everybody knows, or most of us should know, that not having a microbrewery is unusual for the size of our community, being that there's 160, 170 in the province, and we don't have one currently. Would be fantastic. So that was very educational. It was not simply recreational, although it was enjoyable to taste a couple of their brews. It was more just understanding their operation. And one thing that was interesting about their brewery is they'll be the first in Canada to have a CO2 capture system there. And they had it set up, hadn't quite turned it on yet, but they received a grant for a CO2 capture, which captures about 30% of the CO2 that they would normally be emitting, and reusing that in order to carbonate their beverage. So they're anticipating the flavor of some of the beers to change, having CO2 that's derived from the brewing process rather than from petrochemicals. So that was quite educational. If anybody has any questions about anything that was on mine, please feel free to ask. Adoption of minutes, 11.1, the minutes from the regular council meeting on October 11th. Any errors, omissions?
We need to accept.
Oh, okay. Roundtable discussion of this information, sure.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Swab. All in favor? Now the adoption of minutes for October 11th regular council meeting. Councilor Bell?
Thank you. I do recall, so around resolution 33/22, regarding the Standing Committee of Council draft a letter to be forwarded to the Provincial Health Minister regarding physician-patient caps for Blackfalds. I do believe there was discussion on a friendly amendment for that, also including that Council directed administration to schedule a meeting with the Health Minister, but I didn't see that reflected here.
Okay, so we can accept it as amended then?
In that case, I would move that the SEC minutes get,
Regular.
Oh, sorry, I was on the
Your
standing
comments
committee.
was standing meeting?
Sorry, my comments were on the standing committee, resolution 33.
Well, I'm happy to do that
I'm
motion.
ahead of myself.
So we'll do the motion first for 11.2 as amended. Discussion. All in favor? It's unanimous. Now the regular council for October 11th. Any errors or omissions there? Seeing none, can I get a motion to accept those as presented? Councilor Coulter? All in
I
favor?
motion to accept the regular minutes for council meeting on October 11, 2022.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. We have no notices of motion. Business for the good of council. None on the agenda. And we do have one confidential item that will fall under FOIP section 19. So we can go to a recess. This ends our open meeting. Deputy Bob?
I'll move for a 5-minute recess.
5-minute recess, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you.